Good morning, kids. How are you this week? I hope you had a good week. I'm glad we're together again. I've missed you. Today we're going to continue talking about the people of God and their connection to God and courage, and how God helps them with faith and courage. Today we're going to talk about three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and a king named Nebuchadnezzar and his connection to those three men. I hope you enjoyed the story and their courage against this king and his commands. So I have this map. This king lived in Babylonia. This is Babylonia, this peach-colored region. And there's the city of Babylon, where this story is going to take place. And over here is Jerusalem. This is where the Hebrew people lived. Now, last week we heard how Moses took the people out of Egypt many years before and walked them across the Red Sea into the land that God had promised Abraham many years before that, and how they lived there for a very long time. But this is a volatile area, and there are a lot of people that are wanting this area. So here's this king that lives over here, and he wants to enslave these people. So he raids Jerusalem and enslaves the Hebrew people and brings them back to Babylon after he destroyed the temple. So they're back in Babylon. And that's where our story takes place. Our story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So this mighty king, Nebuchadnezzar, built a huge statue. Can you see this statue? It was 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and it was covered in gold. And he placed it on the flat land of Dora near the city of Babylon. Now here are the people. Look how tiny the people are compared to that big, huge statue. These people are in the foreground, so they look pretty big compared to that statue. But there's the statue. Now, the king made the statue, and he sent for all the rulers and officials and governors and all the different high-ranking people of the city and the different nations, and he had them come to a special gathering to honor the statue that he had set up. So they all got together somewhere near here, and along with them came advisors and treasurers and judges and all other kinds of officials, and they all stood together in front of the statue. Okay? Now, here's the king, and there's all the people, and here's the messenger. And he yelled out loudly, "Listen, you people who came from every nation, pay attention, you, excuse me, from all different languages and all different countries. Here is what the king commands you to do. As soon as you hear the sounds of the horns and the harps and the pipes and the flutes and the lyres, then you are to bow down and worship the golden statue whenever you hear all this kind of music. The king Nebuchadnezzar has commanded you worship the statue he has set up. If you do not worship the statue that he has set up, then you will be thrown into the blazing furnace right away. Can you imagine that? He is going to throw the people into a furnace if they don't worship this golden statue. Imagine. That is very harsh. Now, let's see what happens. So, all the people heard the sounds of the horns and all the other musical instruments, and as soon as they did, look what happens. They all bowed down, they fell on the ground, and worshiped this golden statue that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. They came from every nation and spoke all different languages. And at that time, the people, who studied the heavens, they were called the Chaldeans, came forward. And they said to the king, King Nebuchadnezzar, may you live forever. These are them down here. Can you see them? May you live forever. You commanded everyone to fall down and worship the gold statue. You told them to do it when they heard all the music. And if they did not, they would be thrown into the blazing furnace. But you have appointed some Jews to help Daniel in Babylon and in the towns surrounding it. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They did not pay attention to you. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar, can you see his face? Got very angry. His anger was seething. And he was furious. He could not understand that someone would refuse to listen to his command. So, can you imagine what he did next? I bet you can. I bet you can imagine what he did next. That's right. He was so angry, he called for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And he said to them, "Is it true? I have heard that you did not worship the golden statue when you heard the music. You did not fall down and worship like I asked." What do you think they said? Do you think they said, "We will do it"? You're right. They didn't. They said, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to talk about this anymore. We might be thrown into the blazing furnace, but the God we serve is able to bring us out alive. He will save us from your powerful hand. Well, that was a pretty bold statement, wasn't it? But we want you to know this. Even if we knew that our God wouldn't save us, we still wouldn't serve your gods. We wouldn't worship the gold statue that you have set up. What do you think the king said next? What do you think he did next? There are the three of them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. It took a lot of courage to stand up to that king, knowing that they may be thrown into that furnace. So what do you think happened? That's right. King Nebuchadnezzar's anger burned against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The look on his face changed, and he ordered that the furnace be heated up 7 times hotter than it usually is. It was so hot that one of the soldiers that was guarding it died because of the heat. He also gave some of the strongest soldiers in his armies a command. He ordered them to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they tied them up. See them? See them tied up? And then he told them to throw them into the blazing furnace, which they did. As you can see, they're thrown into the furnace. Now, they had on their tunics, their robes, their pants, their turbans, and other clothes. The king's command was carried out quickly. The furnace was so hot that its flames did kill 2 more soldiers, but Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego were not touched. Then the king leapt to his feet. Look at him. He's looking at what's going on in the furnace. What do you see in there? There's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And look, there's another person in there. They only threw in 3. Who do you think that is? He was so amazed, he asked his advisors, "Didn't we tie these men up? Didn't we throw 3 men into the fire?" The advisor said, "Yes, we did." And the king said, "Look, there are 4 men in the furnace." Excuse me. And the fire didn't even harm them. The 4th man looks like the son of the gods. Then the king approached the opening of the furnace door, and he shouted, "Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, come out! You who serve the Most High God, come here." So they came out of the fire. The royal rulers and high officials and governors all crowded around them. They saw that the fire did not harm them at all. Look at them. They're perfectly fine. And there's all the people gathered around them. Not a hair on their head was burned. Their robes were not burned. They didn't even smell of smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, May the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be praised. He has sent an angel and saved his servants. They trusted him. They refused to obey my command. They were willing to give up their lives. They would rather die than serve or worship any god except their own. No other god can save people the way that their God can. So I am giving an order that no one from any nation or language can say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And if they do, they shall be cut into pieces, and their houses will be burned into piles of trash. Then the king honored the three men and gave Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego a higher position in the city of Babylon and the towns that surrounded it. So, they had the courage to stand up to the king and the faith in God that he would save them from the furnace because they believed in God. Now, I have found a really cool craft that I think you're going to like. This is the craft that I made. Now, there's the golden statue, and there's King Nebuchadnezzar. And what do you think this is? Well, this is the furnace. What do you think? I hope you like it. I will send the instructions and the templates with the email that I send to Father Mark for you, and I hope you have fun with this. I hope you enjoyed the story about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego and their courage to stand up to a mighty king and their faith in God that he would save them. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless.